Hello there, kia ora. Where is the Prime Minister? And it's a question that's been asked this weekend by Q&A's Jack Tame, responding to many viewer requests to get Christopher Luxon back on the show. He hasn't been on in over a year and never once as Prime Minister. And for context, John Key and Bill English appeared about 4 times a year on the show. Dame Jacinda twice a year. And when she decided to stop doing that media time with Mike Hosking, the right lost their rag, but now seem very quiet over Luxon not being on this show. The fact is, this Prime Minister is very, very selective about how much time he gives to media. He's one of the least accessible to media of any Prime Ministers we've seen in decades. We've seen him cut the time he spends in post-cabinet press conferences, refuse to do stand-ups and crossing the bridge to and from the House. He does a weekly round of Tuesday morning press stand-ups with regular Vox Pop shows, where they don't have time to often do deep dives into issues. And this government has so many issues, it's not always possible to cover anything anyway. But he has time to make cringe-inducing TikToks.
Voted PM, W.
Ugh. And part of the reason seems to be that he's actually really bad at dealing with media that isn't being sycophantic, like he gets on News Talk ZB when chit-chatting with Mike Hosking. After almost any long-form interview, he's had to walk back comments, whether that's talking about bottom feeders or calling us wet, whiny and inward-looking. But he also has a habit of talking down to people when refusing to answer questions or just walking away from them altogether. He's been caught on hot mics before criticising media for doing their job and seemingly finds it a distraction. Now, it could just be my perspective. I wonder if there's any examples out there.
Can you please answer the question? Do you accept that will mean less money in the hands of those disabled people who are receiving a benefit under your government? Do you accept that that will be the reality?
They're going to have more money each and every year under a national government because we're going to increase benefits each year. It's a different approach from how Labor's looking at it, but what we think is that's the best long-term way to index benefits to inflation.
Is there a reason you don't want to answer the question?
Well, it's a different basis. So yes, in the fiscal plans, we have a different track around what that costs us relative to Labor.
Okay, let's not talk about your fiscal tracks, because let's talk about somebody who is disabled, who is receiving a benefit. Will they get more money under Christopher Luxon, or will they get more money under Christopher Hipkins?
They will have their benefit protected. They will have a regular increase each and every year that will be linked to inflation.
Okay.
How is that going to be a coalition? How is that not going to be a coalition?
I just say to you, New Zealand First hasn't gone with us for 27 years, and we all remember 2017.
But how is that not going to be a coalition?
So the answer is get back to the core thing, and actually, if you want change, you have to vote for change.
That's not the question. Yep. MMP is a system that New Zealanders have voted for now 2 or 3 times. That is the system. And then I have to form a coalition government on the other side of that. And as I said, my preference is to work with National and ACT, and I think that we can do that in a very constructive way.
This is something that your voters, this is something that your supporters say they want you to do. I was at your public meetings, they said that they want you to rule out Winston. So regardless of whatever the decision is, they want.
And all I can say to you is, my position hasn't changed from yesterday. Winston isn't.
That is going to come before or after the election.
What I can say to you is, I am not thinking about New Zealand First. I'm not thinking because they haven't been in Parliament. They're not a consideration.
Does that mean that it's going to come?
And at the end of the day, I have to make a government work on the other side of an election.
Privilege of buying a house in New
But
Zealand.
this is just your marketing brochure.
No, it's not. It's actually just explaining. No, I resent that, because I think you've got to be really clear. We have actually gone through and laid up our approach and been very open about how we're going to fund it.
No, Christopher, you haven't been open. You haven't been open and transparent about this. I want to just circle back to this international example again, because I come back to Toronto. As I said, a city 20% larger, you live there, you would know, than New Zealand in population. It has a 15% tax on foreign buyers on all properties, and it only raised $250 million last year. That is well short of what you are anticipating.
And I can look at examples in Vancouver, I can look at examples in Australia and other places. And that's why I'm saying to you...
But will you release those numbers, what your evidence is?
Well, we're very comfortable with our numbers. I don't know how to explain it to you anymore.
Well, they don't add up.
Can you point me to any economists other than Castilla who did your numbers who say that your tax plan adds up? Because I can't find any, and I can give you a nice long list of people who say that it doesn't.
We've had a Labor Party try to say that, we had challenges around FTAs, we've had challenges around tax treaties, we've had challenges about taking the ban away, and all of those points have been disproven. We've released 32
By
pages
who?
Around our documents. We've released our reviewers' remarks, and we've also released legal advice.
Michael Riddell doesn't think they add up. He's
appreciate-
a fiscal conservative. Shamabil Yaqub doesn't think they add up. Eric Crampton from the New Zealand Initiative, right-wing think tank, he doesn't think they add up. Tell me someone who does.
New Zealand economy, and that's exciting. All right, question. Thank you, Amelia. We've asked Nasser. Thank you. Sorry.
That leaves a $527 million hole.
Calm down. Just let me step you through it. There's 4,000 houses sold to foreigners before the ban, right? Where our plan assumes less than around 1,600 houses need to be sold.
Actually, Nationals based their numbers on 1,700 house sales per year. The Economist's best case scenario picked it would really be more like 708.
Our view is that their modelling is flawed.
These are really simple questions, and this is your central policy. This is the policy that speaks to your economic credibility. As per your policy, you have to sell $20 billion worth of property over 4 years, right?
And Jack, I'm really comfortable with our policy. As you've had Nicola on last week and we've talked about it, we've released all our information and our modelling.
You've released it all?
We've released
have you released your modelling?
Released 32 pages of actually our
I'm
cost assumptions.
I'm sorry. Have you
released
no.
advice.
Will you commit?
We've released lawyer advice.
Will you commit to releasing your specific modelling that shows how you will sell $20 billion worth of property to foreigners?
We have released a 30-page document with all.
You haven't released that modelling.
We have released our reviewers report.
You haven't released that modelling.
Through all our assumptions. I'm very comfortable with that, and we've released even legal advice.
So, in the interest of credibility, does the public not deserve to see that modelling?
And Jack, what I'd also say to you is, since we've made those announcements, there's been a number of experts and advisors that have come out into the public domain and said, "Look, this is great."
If you are so confident with your numbers, will you commit to releasing that specific modelling?
I am extremely confident with our numbers. We have worked
great. So will you
We've
commit?
Got great reviewers, great advisors.
Will you commit to releasing that specific modelling? That is the question. It's a very simple question. Will you commit to releasing the specific modelling that shows how you will sell $20 billion worth of property to foreigners over the next 4 years? Are you going to lower your rents, the properties that you rent out?
It's not about me, Jack.
No, but you've said that your settings are going to lead to lower rents.
You talk about my properties every time.
No, that's a simple question. Yeah, I know. Well,
that's pretty simple.
Reasonable, isn't it? I mean, you've got multiple investment properties. So will you be lowering your rents?
What I'll be saying to you is that we are going to put downward pressure on rents by actually unwinding the Bright Line test from 10 to 2 years and unwinding interest deductibility and changing some of the tenancy laws.
Okay, so will you be lowering your rents?
That is advice that the government put in place to this government. Treasury put into.
So again, you're not answering my question. So you say there's going to be downward pressure on rents. So will you be lowering your rents?
It's not about me, Jack. I don't know. I haven't thought that through, and I'm not thinking that through.
But if there's downward, I mean, why would you not think it through? I mean, you've obviously thought through everything that leads to downward pressure.
No, just let's zoom out a little bit.
Look, I commend Jack Tame and the Q&A team for calling out that they have tried and been knocked back to get this interview. And while I hope they get a positive response soon, I can see why the Prime Minister and his office would do so with trepidation. Jack is known for his diligent research and coming with the receipts. He has caught out MPs from across the political spectrum many times in lies, being uninformed, unprepared, and pushing alternative facts that would cause harm. Unlike when you're Deputy Prime Minister or going to be Deputy Prime Minister, where you could probably get away with going on media that doesn't do their research, when you're the Prime Minister, you should expect media to have done theirs. Politicians and the public know what Jack Tame and his team do. And if they're across their job, well, they can handle questions from Jack and his team and get across their perspectives. But by refusing to speak to certain media known to ask tough, detailed questions, it looks like you're incapable of public functions expected of the office, that you know that your perspectives are hard to defend. But I guess that's what happens when you try and build policy around bumper stickers and trending TikTok videos. I mean, in the words of the Prime Minister, it's not very mindful, and it doesn't
slay.
We're still here. It's over. Find another video.